Welcome back to the Red Debate. It is Chris Smith and Tom Verghese here. We're going to dissect the Man City result, which unfortunately is another loss for Liverpool Football Club this season. Tom and I have been talking offline about a variety of things, but I think it's safe to say that we disagree on some of these topics. But Tom, you start because I know you feel quite strongly about the game itself and what it means and the future for Slot. So go on, over to you first, and then I'll reply.
I had a bit of a Twitter rant last night, so shared my thoughts on socials. But I'm gutted, mate. It's such a frustrating period for us. I I mean, yesterday, you know, as you said offline, you take losing to City, not take it, absolutely not take it. In fact, but you can understand it. Um, it's just the manner in which we're setting up, and just the almost inevitability. I say it all the time, but inevitability. You go 1-0 up late in a game, you should be winning that game. It, just end of debate for me. I'm just. It's really frustrating watching us play. We're set up in a low block at Anfield. We too much respect for the opposition for me.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to reframe the question then. How did you feel after the Newcastle game? Because I suppose we haven't recorded since that
Mm,
game either. So, because for me, I don't disagree with what you've just said. I don't think we played very well, apart from sort of like a 25-minute spell in the second half. But I almost feel like it was a little bit of a free hit for us in my head, in that I feel like at the moment, City are a better team than us. They've got a much stronger squad than us. And I didn't expect us to win that game, which is the first time we've played them in a long time where I wasn't confident that we'd get anything out of it. So for me, it was a little bit of a free hit, but I kind of agree with what you're saying. The the more relevant game, which is measuring us against a team that I think we're actually sort of competing against, is the Newcastle game. And I know Newcastle aren't in good form themselves, but there are a lot of teams in and around the top half of the table who, if they had have beaten us, let's say Newcastle, they would have been back up there and fighting for European positions again as well. So, what was your thoughts after the Newcastle game? Because that was a complete contradiction of what you've just said in terms of we didn't set up as a low block, really good attacking display. Sure, we rode our luck for the first 20 minutes where Newcastle played very well, but don't think many fans were criticising our style of play after that game.
no, fair enough. I'll go back even further because the last two we haven't recorded since Karabag either.
Yeah, true.
Obviously, different opposition, different competition. We were, you know, more of what's expected against Karabag and against Newcastle. And I think, whilst I don't disagree with everything you've just said there, I think the point remains that I think we've showed City too much respect. And I think Slot against Newcastle perhaps chose not to and gave them the adequate amount of respect, i.e., if we play football against this team, we'll beat them. Now, I know Newcastle haven't always tried to play football against us, but we didn't concede much against Newcastle and we were impressive going forwards. Um, I just do you not think that that tells the story though? Because I don't agree entirely with what you've said. I don't think I'll give you that City squad depth is much better than ours, but I think player for player we're better than them on the starting 11.
Not anymore. I
Do you
really
think?
strong. Yeah. How? By the way, can we just
Yeah,
acknowledge the shift in mindset from both of us? I'm normally the positive one. You're normally Mr. Negative, and now you're claiming that we've got a better man-for-man team than City. So, on paper, I can totally see that. And at the start of the season, I probably would have argued that we've got a far superior team.
mm,
But I think I know we were talking about this offline as well, but my view on that is a lot of our players have aged badly, and it's more than just out of form, I think. And realistically, even if Liverpool fans argue that if you do a combined 11, there'd be more Liverpool players in it, I don't think any neutrals would have more Liverpool players than Man City players in a combined 11. And
do you
obviously,
think?
City fans would favour the City, but who do you think would be in a combined 11? because at the start of the season you'd be having Salah and co. I think it's 2 players, maybe
What
3.
from our lineup?
Yeah.
I think Pep would have the majority of them, mate. I think the bigger question is
Do
if you
you?
swap them. Yeah,
You
I
think
do.
Pep would have the majority of our starting 11 over theirs?
I think he'd have all of them in his squad. Yeah, I think Gakpo would probably be the only one he wouldn't.
In his squad, yeah, but we're
But you
talking.
know,
You said starting lineup.
well, would you have Virgil over Kusanov or Gahey?
I think you'd have
You see
Virgil.
my
No,
point.
you'd have Virgil with Ruben Diaz or Gahey. I think you can't have Canate this season. At the start of the season, sure, but
I mean, unironically, again back to us having flipped our opinions. I thought Kanate was quite good last night.
he was great. He was great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know he was great, and he's a left back that for me it was him or Kirkes. For me, Kirkes was our man of the match. I thought
he was great. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it was. But do you not think Pep Guardiola would love the sound of McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Wirtz?
No, I don't.
Mate, I think we're on different planets
I think
here.
he'd love them in his squad, but
Yeah.
I mean, the midfield was, for the majority of the game, utterly dominated. I thought that was where the game was lost, in my opinion. We couldn't get the ball in the first half, and in the second half, obviously, we improved significantly, and we massively missed Szoboszlai in the middle of the pitch. But again, as the game wore on and we needed a bit of control in there to just go and win that 1-0, and it would have been a great performance if we go and do that. I think there's no way you're swapping Rodri, Bernardo Silva. I know they started what's his name? O'Reilly.
I thought O'Reilly was their best midfielder.
He was great,
yeah.
But on paper, I suppose you probably wouldn't swap him for one of our starting midfielders. But based on that performance, there's no chance that Pep's swapping that 3 for our 3. They completely outplayed us. Yeah. And like you're not swapping Ekitike for Haaland.
No, but I think
I'd be having Semenyo over Salah this season. So I thought Salah was really poor again, like really, really poor. Apart from the outside of the boot cross that he did for Ekitike's chance.
This is it, isn't it?
Gakpo wouldn't be starting for them. So you'd take their front 3. I would take, if I was a neutral, I think I'd be taking their midfield 3. Virgil aside, I'd probably be taking their back 4. You could potentially argue Kirkes, and then I would personally take Alisson, despite his obvious mistake over Donnarumma. But it's not clear that in my head that we have better players than their starting 11.
I don't necessarily think it's clear, but I think this City team are an absolute far cry from the ones that used to turn up with Silva, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Aguero, Sane, Sterling. Absolute far cry from that. That City team was scary.
Big time,
yeah. And whilst we're not at the levels we used to be, with the biggest difference probably being Salah and Mane, because Pep's been terrified of those throughout it. The sort of Liverpool City head to head, if you like. They just don't feel as scary to me. But I think we gave them so much respect, and I don't think they played particularly well. To bring up the XG again, obviously they've beaten us on that.
I thought they were good in the first half. Did you not?
Mate, it just felt like they were splitting the forwards and trying to go long all game. And then Semenyo was getting nothing out of Kirkes, so they switched him to the other side. For me, I think the game changed when Cherki came on. And I don't like to say that. Obviously, his free kick was laughable. But something,
that says it all, doesn't it? They're bringing on Cherki to win you the game, and we're bringing on, Chiesa.
But do you not think that becomes a management issue? Like Gakpo is getting
it's a squad issue. It's a squad issue.
I hear
Who else does he bring on?
Ngamoha.
That's laughable as well, though. I love Ngamoha, but he's not Cherki, who's fucking brilliant.
No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying Gakpo was getting absolutely nothing out of Mateus Nunes, who I think is, again, looking back at City squads over the years, it's a joke that they've got Mateus Nunes playing right back. And I know they quite like him, and they tongue-in-cheek sang the Nunes song. But come on, he's not...
I'm not arguing that City are a top-class City team. But I think, to your point about Mane and Salah, City... our squad, I feel, has regressed. And it was more evident, I think, than at any stage of the season so far than yesterday for me, where it's like it's not even form, it's who have we got available to play, who are the key players that they would have feared last year. And I think no matter what way you cut it, not having, and I'm going to include Salah because it's not the same Salah this season as it was last season. So Salah, Diaz, and Trent in that team are three of your top players, and we just don't have them anymore, and we haven't replaced them very well.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. I think that's the difference. We're not as good as we were for obvious reasons that I've just said, plus all of the other reasons around Jota, Nunes, form, age of, I think Van Dijk's probably not quite as good as he was as well. And all of that culminates in, I don't see any world in which you can argue that we're a better team than Man City. We're just not, I don't think.
I don't think we're necessarily a better team, but we played at Anfield as though we were the underdog and inferior. And I get that that's sometimes appropriate in the moment. Yeah, but I think that if you zoom out a bit, the bigger picture is that we shouldn't feel like we are. And I think just like Anfield used to be a fortress, mate. It's very rare to walk into Anfield thinking we're going to lose. And I walked into Anfield yesterday.
Gone, mate. That is gone.
But why? Why? We won the league last season.
Because we lost 9 of 12. Yeah, but that was last season. This season, we are scrapping for our lives for a Champions League spot. We can't go toe-to-toe with City, given that they absolutely demolished us earlier in the season.
I think
and if we had have gone toe-to-toe and lost that game 3 or 4-0, we'd be getting slaughtered left, right and centre. So really, I actually feel like we almost played the perfect game. We rode out the storm of pressure. We then dominated for a spell and scored while we were on top, which City didn't do at the start. And as usual, it comes back to the same old thing: mental fragility. We completely fell apart, and it went from the sublime of Szoboszlai to the fucking bizarreness of whatever happened at the last 10 minutes. But that Alisson mistake again is not something you would expect from what I think he's top 2 goalkeeper in the world, possibly even one. And how do you? This is going back to some of the earlier questions I asked you in other episodes. But how do you coach against that? It's mental fragility.
Yeah, but how much of that do you put on the manager's plate? Because
definitely a proportion of it.
Yeah, I'll go back. There's an element of the same thing happening with the who was the goal when we were trying to sub Endo on and he didn't come on for ages and then he scored. Mind blank. But you know the one I'm talking about. Bournemouth, correct? Yeah. Jones was stripped and ready to go for ages before they go 1-1. Now, do you not think the game was crying out for changes for us from before that? I thought McAllister was poor again yesterday, aside from one slip ball through to Salah. Yeah. Where in the first half, you think.
But you could also argue that was our best period of the game. So yes, I do think we were crying out for it. We looked leggy, I thought. Our attacking play wasn't slick at all. But we also missed some really good chances in that 25-minute spell from half time up to when we scored, which was it the 75th minute, 76th minute?
So, yeah.
I thought we were the better team.
So did I. And Anfield was as loud as I can remember it, mate, honestly. Anfield was as loud as I can remember it. The place was absolutely rocking. And it just felt like we needed to capitalise. I thought Ekitike was poor yesterday. Yeah,
he was.
The header from Salah's clip pass, he needs to score that. And again, Wirtz and Ekitike, they're just not up to the speed of the Premier League. We were saying in a WhatsApp chat with an Arsenal fan, weren't we? Well, Matt, who came on the podcast recently, obviously wanted us to win. That we come unstuck late in the game, and Matt sent us that first half versus second half statistic that demonstrates that City are quite poor over the course of this season in second halves. And we were saying, weren't we, that we don't have the changes, and Ekitike runs out of steam, Wirtz runs out of steam, and yeah, it seemed to happen. But does it not frustrate you? I know you've sort of given your answer already, but does it not frustrate you to set up like that? Like, it felt first half like he was playing for 0-0. And I'm not against that, but it was fucking toothless.
Yeah, it does frustrate me. It's not pretty to watch, and it's a big but, what would frustrate me more, trying to sneak a 1-0 win against Man City, or going back to what it was like before Christmas where we were losing 3-0 to everyone.
Yeah. No, he's certainly shored it up, hasn't he?
But I just think, though, we've given him a fucking thankless task, and we being the club. Like, January is an absolute joke from the club in my head. Like, we've got such clear deficiencies and are lacking in bodies, basically. I don't see how we can go and... I mean, we're obviously going to try and challenge for the top four, but with momentum is firmly in United and Chelsea's hands. I actually think the team that we could catch is probably Villa.
Yeah, I didn't agree with you when you first said that, but I do now. It was a poor weekend for us as well, wasn't it? I mean, obviously Villa have gained a point on us, if you look at things, but United and Chelsea both winning. Villa dropping points.
But I just think, though, we can't take too much from this City game. So we've got to look at what we did against Newcastle. And the City game for me is just like, we're playing a top 2 team in the league. We didn't play very well. Almost won it. Like, in another world, we could have won that, and we would have won it. I'm not taking that much negative out of it, to be honest with you. And I know we probably should, because it wasn't a great performance, and we didn't go at them like we can. But at the same time, if we had got absolutely hammered like we did earlier in the season, I think that would have been way more damaging for our top 4 bid than suffering a tight 2-1 loss.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Did you watch that roundtable thing with Slot and Richard Hughes?
Yeah, which was really interesting.
It was interesting, but it fucked me off how he was talking about wanting to play proper football. It felt like an underhanded dig at Arsenal, but he was talking about wanting to play football, and then he sets that up. And Alisson has more touches of the ball than...
But do you not feel like that's a reflection of the club? That we haven't given him... Like, everyone knows that Slot likes direct, pacey, attacking wingers. We don't have direct, pacey, attacking wingers on either wing. Everyone also knows that we don't have a proper right-back at the moment, and the club did nothing. We went into the season without a strong quartet of centre-backs. We're a Van Dijk injury away from being an absolute disaster at the back.
Yeah, he went.
So maybe it wasn't just a dig at Arsenal; it was a dig at the club as well. Even though the club seemed to be like that round table he seems to have the backing of the club off the back of that.
Yeah, he does. But mate, yeah. I mean, by all accounts, it was Hughes and Co. that put the brakes on signing another left winger. I appreciate there's money involved as well for the Ngamoha development. It definitely seems like things are maybe a bit disjointed again. Obviously, there was all that talk around Klopp and Edwards and how disjointed things were then. Of course, the Brendan Rodgers and committee head clashes, shall we say. It feels a little bit like there's another one of those. But we didn't have an endless money pit. And yeah, I just...
So, here's a question for you then. The combined games of Qarabag and Newcastle, however you rate that out of 10, and then whatever you rate the Man City game, is the overall negative or positive? Because in my head, it's positive, which is why I'm not as disheartened as you at the City game, because I think we've taken 2 steps forward and 1 back rather than 1 step forward and 2 back.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, Qarabag...
And I'll caveat that and say we have to beat Sunderland on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, mate, Sunderland feels huge, doesn't it? It's to dissect that point then. Qarabag, had he not won, he's not in a job the next day for me. Newcastle and City as a duo, obviously we've taken 3 points from the possible 6. I thought we might get 2, maybe 3. So on balance, you'd pick that. You'd pick outplaying Newcastle and, or not pick it, because you probably would have, it probably would have felt nicer to beat City and take some momentum forwards. But yeah, it's not an unexpected series of results. It's more the performances that are pissing me off, mate. The fella I sit next to was completely beside himself yesterday. He was beside himself with the way that we were setting up. he just kept talking about it. He was going, "What's Slot's plan? What's Slot's plan? Look at him. He's just got his hands in his pockets."
Some of it, though, is personnel. I'm not having it that it's all on Slot setup, because the problem we've got is that Gakpo is really off form and Saka can't beat a man anymore. So would Slot setup
Saka.
work if he's in my head rent free? Salah can't beat a man nor can Saka, to be fair, but yeah. So is the setup not working because of the personnel? If Salah was the Salah of old, does it matter that we play a more defensive mindset? I don't think so.
For me, a lot of the drop off in form of the players. Obviously, you have to consider the Jota thing, right? And Kelleher's comments were really interesting and pertinent for me. But I think a lot of the player drop off can be attributed to disagreements with the coaching staff. Maybe Johnny Heitinger was the glue that we didn't know we needed.
But it's disagreements from, yeah, maybe it's disagreements from people who are out of form. And I don't like it at all. I really don't. If you look at the players who have come out publicly, Salah is a shell of his former self. McAllister's having the worst season he's had at the club by miles.
Yeah.
Like the people where the future of the club, none of them have come out as unhappy. Ekitike, Wirtz, Gravenberch, hopefully, obviously the Dutch connection. Kirkes seems to be improving all the time. Like, I'm not buying. I don't like the fact that we've got senior players who have come out and have indicated that there's friction in the club, but at the same time they're not playing well themselves.
But I personally think the 2 points are related. These things always happen when you
possibly,
you know, the transition from, like, let's talk about it, all-time greats. Some of them are all-time greats. You mentioned Alisson, best one or two keepers in the league. He's best one or two keepers in league history for me. You know, Petr Cech, Alisson, Peter Schmeichel. He's in that conversation. And then, of course, Virgil is. Of course, Salah is. The transition period was always going to be tricky. I get the sense that despite us being told that Slot's the coach, not the manager, obviously a lot of the management of the individuals as human beings falls on his plate. And I'm just not sure it's going too well. My overarching view, let me tell you for a fact, Slot's lost the crowd. Walking out the ground, appreciate I'm walking out with a lot of others who left early. I left before Czech took that free kick. Again, don't often leave early, but walking out the ground, people are livid. Livid. And it's almost weekly people are saying that we need to just change him. But I also think, in combination with that, I think it just does. There's something that doesn't feel right. I think he's lost the dressing room as well. I know it's a football cliche, but I think it's a cliche well placed on this occasion.
How do we put in the Newcastle performance though if he's lost the dressing room? That's what I don't understand. How are we capable of these great performances? And I'll include the Madrid game, the Arsenal game. I know it was a point, but I thought we were great in that game.
Yeah,
I don't think he has lost the dressing room because it would just be constant.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are not binary points, but we've just got so much quality. Like the Newcastle game was Wirtz and Ekitike sparkling and dazzling in the way that we hoped and expected they might. I just think we've got so much quality. The best team performance in terms of control of a game in totality was the Marseille game recently. And it's very much a different proposition when Slot gets preparation time and teams aren't going to low block us. Which is why I was sort of expecting us to take the game to City a little bit more yesterday. I can accept playing for a 0-0 at half time. What I probably can't accept is playing for a 0-0 at half time if you look at both squads and look at the changes they're going to have off the bench and then look at ours, knowing he ain't going to use any of them. He should have brought Curtis into the game sooner. He should have brought Rio on.
All right. Here's another question for you.
Go on.
Do you really think that from the start he was playing for a 0-0? Because we had Wirtz, Salah, Ekitike and Gakpo starting. That's 4 attackers.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think he was playing, let's keep it really tight. Again, the number of times it was happening all game long against Burnley, but the number of times we could have stepped a man, but we turn back inside and play the ball back to a centre back,
Yeah,
who then goes back to the
that was a
keeper.
really poor game, that Burnley game, and you
That's
could sense the frustration in the crowd as well. But I do think that Man City did play well in the first half, and they just took the sting out of us. And because we're mentally weak at the moment, we sat back and just soaked the pressure up.
yeah.
We couldn't get the ball. We couldn't keep the ball in their half at all in the first half. We had a couple of sniffs, and that was it.
Yeah. We're not scary anymore, are we? I don't think we scare teams.
No.
No. I think we miss Frimpong loads. I can't believe I'm saying this, but
honestly, I also can't believe that I'm saying this, but I think Frimpong should be starting ahead of Salah.
I can see the argument for it. I know he was good.
What does Salah offer anymore? I can't. It's so painful to watch. The great Mohamed Salah can't beat a man. Finishing is absolutely dreadful. Like that free kick he took, it wasn't as bad as Cherky's, but Jesus Christ, the technique on it was just dreadful.
He lifts his head when he hits the free kicks, doesn't he? The one the other day against Karabag, appreciate gets rolled to him and he hits it. It's his first free kick goal for us.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. But do you not think Salah's a whisker away from? Could have had a penalty, which he probably would have scored.
He would have taken outside the box.
The other one. So there's a few, aren't there? There's the Bernardo Silva pull. There's the Gahey pull. There's the Chiesa one that goes down at the end. I'm not saying any of them necessarily were.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Could have had a penalty.
But we don't need Mo Salah to bang a penalty in anymore. We've got other players who can take penalties.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But what I'm saying is last season's numbers were built on performances not dissimilar from this. But you imagine Ekitike puts the header in and Salah scores a penalty. His performances aren't hugely different from last season. Now, obviously, he's clearly slowing down, isn't he? He's clearly physically slowing down. But would you be stunned if Gerrard came in and all of a sudden Salah started scoring every week? Like, do you think he's totally finished, or?
Yeah, I think he's totally finished.
Do you? See, I think, for me,
I really do, yeah.
There are real signs for me of someone who's mentally checked out. Not from playing for the club, but playing for the manager. And I know this is a bigger, nuanced debate, but I'm just pro change the manager. Look what it's done for City and Chelsea and United. I'm just pro change the manager.
Yeah, I can see that argument. I would be shocked if we do that now, though, given that the window is shut. Like, why would we not have done it in January?
Give Xabi February off.
I wouldn't give it to Xabi now.
No.
I would say. I would rather Stevie as an interim and then Xabi at the end of the season.
What about the...
Because with this, I think our only chance, if it keeps going the way it's going at the moment and the gap gets bigger, our only chance of sneaking a Champions League position is somehow getting something out of the old guard. And I don't think Alonso can do it the way that someone like Gerrard would be able to do it. In fact, I think Gerrard's probably the only person in the world who could do something like that. Suddenly revitalise Salah for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because really it's Salah, isn't it, that we're talking about? That's the big difference.
Yeah. I think, back to your earlier point, I think we do underreport. Oh, God, I've said this so many times, but I think we do underreport the impact that not having Trent in the side has.
Massively. Yeah, massively.
Hugely.
And Diaz. I'll chuck Diaz in there as well.
For his intensity, for sure, yeah. Gakpo's just the sort of left winger that, if you're a fullback, he doesn't scare you, does he? He's not going to beat you. He's probably bigger than you. He might well be faster than you, but he doesn't hurt you with either of those assets. He gives the opponent such an easy game. He's frustrating the life out of me, Gakpo. So I'll give you that for Diaz, but only Diaz versus Gakpo. All season long last season, I did think that was a position we could upgrade, and I know we chose not to. But in short, I don't think Diaz was the perfect solution, and I think 30 goals assists in the Bundesliga, big pinch of salt. But yeah, we're just not nasty anymore at all. We're not scary, and back to Pep being terrified of Mane and Salah. He was scared of Trent as well, because Trent. Pep used to talk about Klopp setting his runners on you, but it was Trent that would find them. Yeah, I don't know.
Sunderland. That game now just has, for me, that is, I will take back everything I've said that is remotely positive if we lose that game. I even think if we draw that game, it is an absolute must-win game for us. And I probably would sack Slot on the spot if we lose that game, potentially if we draw it as well. Because then the gap becomes, like, we have to just remain in the hunt, basically, and hope that the bubble will burst for Chelsea and United.
Yeah, hold on till Isak's back. I think things look different squad wise when had our option off the bench been Jones and Isak. You remember how
100%,
how much
100%, yeah, and Frimpong.
Yeah.
Who's going to play right back? That's the big question.
He's not going to play Ramsey, is he? He might play Endo there. Endo did a shift there against, when did Gomez go down injured? Was it Karabag? Yeah, Endo played against Karabag, didn't he?
Yeah.
It'd probably be Endo.
I wouldn't be having Endo anywhere near the starting line up against Sunderland.
Would you not? See, for me, Endo's one of very few players in this squad with the required spirit at the moment. I'll go back to my point about Kirkes. That 50-50 in the first half that looked like it probably wasn't on, it probably wasn't even a 50-50, it was probably a 30-70. And he absolutely goes through him and the crowd picks up off the back of it. Endo's one of few players who'll do that for you. Now, I know this is...
that's true. That is true.
This is not... it's real basics of the game. But Endo, for me, I'd probably rather play Endo there than Curtis, even though I want Curtis on the pitch. They're the options, right? Yeah. I think so.
Or Joe Gomez isn't going to be fit, is he, to start anyway?
Yeah, I doubt it. He wasn't back yesterday, was he? Frimpong's a doubt.
I would probably pick Curtis Jones because I feel like we need to win the game.
They play good football, Sunderland, don't they?
Yeah, they're dangerous. They're definitely dangerous. I'm really concerned about it, I have to say. Sunderland away is a fucking horrible fixture anyway. Given that we're now 4 points behind Chelsea and we have to win, it's exactly the kind of game, I think. It's one of those ones where I feel like we'll win, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if we lost 3-0 again and put in like a Forest type performance where they just hit us on the counter, they do us with long ball and set pieces, and we just completely throw our toys out the pram, having been dominant for 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I could see any result, but that's
any result. Yeah,
that's the stance with this Liverpool team going into most games, because we've got enough quality to beat anyone. Like Liverpool beating any team in the world wouldn't surprise me. Liverpool losing 3-0 to any team in within reason also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Which tells you.
Do you not think though we're too reliant on one striker now? Like if Ekitike doesn't score, how do we win that game against Sunderland? I can't see it.
No, we're. I mean, obviously we put a few away in recent fixtures, haven't we? But yeah, no, agreed. And Ekitike is a 1-in-2 striker anyway. I don't know. I think we'll probably drop points.
So, if we did drop point, let's say we draw,
yeah.
What's your stance on Slot?
My stance for quite a while now has been that we should change the manager. I think he's damaging his legacy with every passing week. Yeah.
So if we got top 5 Champions League qualification, what would your thoughts be on him at the end of the season?
My thoughts I'd feel sorry for him in a sense. Because post-Klopp, if you'd taken, we say this, don't we? But post-Klopp, if someone said you're going to have 2 seasons here, right? You're going to qualify for the Champions League and then you're going to win the league, and it was in that order, you'd be overjoyed, right? But I don't know. For me, things do become a bit binary in the sense that I kind of feel that when you lose the faith of everyone, particularly the fan base, that there's almost no coming back from it. So I think, I've been Slot out for a while.
I'm going to have to read out one of these texts that you sent me earlier because it has to go out on record. talk me through what was going on in your head when you said, "I'm fuming about yesterday. It's the worst I've ever been about our situation. It's worse than Roy Hodgson." Tell
Yeah,
me, because we're still in the hunt for Champions League. We're in the
yeah,
top half of the table. I can't remember where we were when Roy got sacked, but I think it was the bottom half of the table, or like 10th or 11th or something like that.
yeah.
Go on. How is that even possible when we had Paul Konchesky and Christian Poulsen lining up
That's
back
exactly
then?
why, though. That's exactly why. Because Arne Slot's got world-class players at his disposal. And it's mathematically, different eras of football, obviously, but mathematically, our points total over the last 20 games is worse than Roy's 20.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I lived up here. Well, I lived in North Wales in the Hodgson era, so I went. You could get general sale tickets then. That suggests things were maybe a bit worse then because you could get general sale tickets. But
Yeah.
the feeling prior to and following each game feels worse for me now. More should be expected of this squad of players than that bunch of numbskulls. Because
I still think though that football is fickle enough to very quickly change its view. And I think if we did qualify for the Champions League and do something in the actual Champions League this year, people will very quickly forget that run of form between November and now that we've been on.
yeah, because I mean, you're not wrong. Klopp had spells like this for sure. And I could dig up old texts from you, but I don't think I'll do that at this time. I'll save those. Klopp certainly had spells like this, but I think for me the only outcome that could sort of confirm what you've just said there is if we win the Champions League. I still think the majority of the fan base will be up for a change if we simply qualify and let's say get to the final of the FA Cup, semi-finals of the Champions League. I still think people will want to change based on the mood, not on the outcomes. Because again, you look at that. After defending the title's hard. So to go into the following season and qualify for the Champions League, final of the FA Cup, let's say semi-final of the Champions League, that as an outcome sounds reasonable. I do personally think the expectation was higher when you spend the amount of money we spend, but opposition teams spend that money as well, right? Not quite as much, but yeah, it's not like no one else spent money, put it that way. So I do think the expectation was higher, but I think collectively that's reasonable, particularly given that we won the league. But I just think it's the mood and the style of play that's contributing heavily to the dampened mood.
Well, I guess more of the Newcastle type performances will go a long way to solving that, but it all comes back to points on the table at the end of the day. If we can get ourselves into, because like United and Chelsea are very catchable, I think they're not particularly good teams. I think Villa are very catchable as well. There's still a world which we could come third in.
Yeah.
Would you unlikely, but
yeah,
very possible.
Yeah, it's tight up there, isn't it? And again, when you're going for Champions League places, teams drop points. Would you fancy? In fact, here we go. Thought experiment for you. Let's say we had United, Chelsea, and then Villa in the next 3 games. That all away from home. How many points do you think we'd get right now with Szoboszlai out for the next 3?
He's only out for 1.
Or is it 1? Fair enough.
Yeah, because it wasn't violent.
Let's say he misses United then.
I think we'd get 7. I mean, I can't say that with a straight face. Do I think we'll get 7? Yeah, fuck it. I do actually think we'll get 7. I honestly, I'm in the camp that I don't feel like Chelsea or United are very good. I actually feel like United are not that bad. Chelsea aren't that good in my eyes. And I don't think Villa are that good either. We've beaten them already when we were in a horrible run of form. I think they're all very beatable. I don't think we have got the consistency to win 3 in a row like that, like 3 hard games in a row. So I think it's inevitable we'd draw at least one of them. But you've got to be confident in those games. It's the complete opposite to what I was saying earlier about playing Arsenal or Man City. I think they are teams that are very beatable and not as good as us.
See, I think if we were to ask the same question of the Red Devil debate, the Chelsea Blue debate, the Claret Blue debate for Villa, I think they'd all fancy playing against us. That's
Yeah,
my
they
issue
would.
with
But
us at
that's
the
the
moment.
beauty of it, isn't it? There's 3 teams there, well, 4 teams if you include Villa, who are all beatable. And that's what we've always been saying about the league standard is shit. City are not a good City team. Arsenal are coasting the league at the moment with like their second top scorer is own goal. Like it's mental. We're a shell of what we were last year. You know, United they've caught a bit of form, but it's fucking mad that they've gone through that first stage of the season and now they're 4th. Like
Yeah,
what? How has
yeah,
that happened? Well, we'll see after the Sunderland game.
yeah.
Right, predictions for Sunderland.
Don't know. 2-2. There'll be goals.
Oh,
2-2.
come on, Mister Optimistic. We can beat everyone.
We can, but I don't think we will. Yeah, I think we've got enough quality to beat everyone. I just don't think we've got the mental fortitude to do so. Yeah, I don't know. Score draw.
Score draw. And I assume that means in your head, Slot should go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go for a 2-1 nervous win, and we just about get it done.
I'll take it. Just quickly, bigger point before we wrap up. I know, again, we discuss this all the time. 2 things for me. The talk of City being interested in Alonso. Does that concern you? Or do you think there are alternative options?
No, that really does concern me. It really does, because there aren't many options, and I think that's partly why we've held fire on making the move to get rid of the manager. I think there are a couple of names that are obviously on people's list, but they're in jobs at the moment, like Luis Enrique. Sure, I'd love Luis Enrique, but is he actually going to leave PSG? Would he go to us anyway? We don't know. Alonso is available. We know he loves Liverpool, and we're one of potentially 2 or 3 clubs that he'd want to go for. And we know that he was originally at the top of our list before we approached Slot. So what scares me is that I don't feel like we'll ever have as good a chance to get Alonso as we will now. And what also scares me is that if he goes to City, I wouldn't want him. It would rule out a future Liverpool manager for me. So it's now or never, basically.
Agreed.
Whereas I do feel like he could do Liverpool, then City. I don't know what City fans would feel about that, but in my head, if he goes to any of our rivals, he can't manage us.
No, I agree with that, yeah. So the second point then, do you think the club will be internally discussing the fact that it's obviously a World Cup summer? And you bring Alonso in. They talked a lot, didn't they, about the transition from Klopp wanting to be someone with a similar play style, which in retrospect looks a bit laughable, despite the fact we won the league with Klopp's structure there or thereabouts. But do you think they will be discussing internally that it's a World Cup summer? Alonso, whilst he's not wedded to the 3-5-2, does play a different system. He must be the front runner, based on everything we know about their interests. Do you think that makes them consider pulling the trigger a bit sooner?
I think it all depends on results, doesn't it? If we're still within touching distance, like 2 or 3 points of top 4, no, I don't feel like it will make them any quicker to pull the trigger. If it gets bigger, that gap, let's say we lose to Sunderland, then sure, think why not fast track it. But all the while, it's got to be the lens that I think the club will take about it will be what's best for the club this year and next year, which I don't think it's necessarily about who's leading us. It's we have to get Champions League, and what's the most likely way for us to do that? It's still very achievable under Slot. If it becomes really unachievable, then I feel like going back to what I said earlier, the only way to get that instant boost is someone like Stevie. If it's kind of 5-6 points and it's just completely deteriorated from a playing point of view, then maybe Alonso comes in. But what I would say is that if people want a more Klopp-based style of play, Xabi Alonso isn't going to deliver that. He's about tactics, even more control than Slot. So I think the club need to think very carefully about what are we from an identity point of view, and if it's heavy metal, intense level football, it isn't Xabi Alonso. If it's more control, and sure we can be better attacking, but it'll be more of a similar style to Slot, albeit in potentially a three at the back. Then sure, Xabi Alonso is a nice and a much easier transition from Slot to Alonso than it would be from Klopp to Slot, I think.
From Klopp to Slot or Klopp
But
to
I
Alonso?
don't think you're going to get heavy metal football out of Xabi Alonso. So if the crowd think that that's changing the manager is going to bring back the Klopp identity, I think that's very difficult to replicate.
Yeah, I also don't think this squad are built necessarily for that.
No, we haven't got the physical like Wijnaldums, Hendersons, Milners, Fabinho's, the big horrible bastards that would run you off the pitch.
Yeah, nor do we have the legs up front any longer.
But no, and like as much as we talk about Ekitike being great, and he does have a bit of aggression to him, he's not a horrible like Diego Costa type striker. And Isak looks weak as fuck, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Oh dear. Let's see. Sunderland are a big physical team.
Well, 2-1. You heard it here first. Can't wait to record again, and you'll be a changed man, waxing lyrical about we're fourth, and everything's going well.
Let's record after Sunderland, then we'll touch base.
All right, sounds good. Right, thanks for listening, folks, and we will see you soon.